7:35, we call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
There are 22 supervisors are present. Supervisor Nedweski is excused.
Okay, also present is Ann Price from the Executive Committee and Garrison Bryan from the Legislative Committee. Welcome. Okay. It looks like tonight we have quite a few people that I'm sure they want to speak. So we're going to we're going to just give out 3 minutes. So with that, citizen comments. Any citizen wish to speak? Please state your name and address.
My name is Max Winkles. I live at 8635 368th Avenue in the town of Randall. I'd like to speak on the so-called resolution protecting children from materials containing adult content. This resolution is ridiculous. It allegedly protects children, but in my view does little. In fact, it could be harmful to children. Each clause is ridiculous, but due to time, I'll only regard 2 of them. First, it starts off by saying pornography has been redefined. I'm sorry, where did that happen? Really? Who redefined it other than the sponsors of this item who have an agenda to promote that conflicts with the long American history of First Amendment freedom and the ability of children to be under the proper supervision of their parents, not under the supervision of the government. Second, that caught my attention is what it says. It covers and titles make it difficult for parents to assess the contents of books. Really? You know, I have a simpler solution. I think the parents should look inside the books and determine what's appropriate for their own children. I'm a little shocked that not all the supervisors could grasp that and feel that they need to abuse their government authority by proposing an intrusion into the relationship between parents and children, which historically has been just fine in the libraries. You know, this is a so-called resolution to protect children, but to me, it's really more of a resolution to protect the backsides of certain supervisors who think that they need to kiss up, for lack of a better term, to radical groups such as Moms for Liberty and others with an agenda that would limit the freedoms of our parents and me as an adult and a library user. You know, what makes me mad, and the reason I speak strongly, is that there are children with needs in this county. There's children that go to bed hungry at night. There are children that have no bed to go home at night. There are children that have been neglected and abused, without doubt. Yet I see precious little time and resource being devoted to those kids and precious little action taken by this county board. I think that's shameful. You know, let me quote Oliver Hardy, because this thing is a bad joke. Why don't you do something to help them? I can only hope and pray that the veil of ignorance that's been cast upon the board by this reprehensible item will be lifted, and that you can really focus on priorities for the children of our county.
Thank you. Any other citizen? Please hold. Hold on. Please hold any applause or anything.
What?
No, I was talking about people clapping, just not to do it at.
Okay.
Please
Can I
take
go?
your name and address.
Okay. Mayor Magdalene Moser, 2106 73rd Street. I fully support the resolution protecting children from materials containing adult content in taxpayer-funded libraries in Kenosha County, because no one is above the law, even employees of taxpayer-funded public libraries. Citizens should not be forced to sue taxpayer-funded entities simply to force their employees to comply with the law the same way the rest of us do, but that's what's going to happen, and soon. This resolution will help protect minor children and be another step in the direction of compelling public servants to obey the law like everyone else. This isn't about anyone's opinion. We're talking about material that, as defined by Wisconsin state statutes, constitutes a Class I felony child sex crime for any of the rest of us if we were to provide it to someone else's minor child. This is about the fact that we are all equal before the law, including employees of public libraries here in Kenosha County. It's well past time that these public servants stopped violating the law, and nothing in tonight's ordinance prevents any parent from providing this content to their own children if they want to, just not spending our taxpayer money on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen? Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Rachel Rolland. I live in District 1 at 4724 Fifth Avenue, and I'm here speaking as a constituent, a payer of property taxes, and a librarian's daughter. I am strongly opposed to the resolution requiring secure, separate adult content sections in our libraries. This resolution is a gross overreach of this board's authority. These decisions on content lie with our library board. It is nothing but a thinly veiled attempt to exclude, silence, and shame people who do not fit into the narrow view of some supervisors' view of this big, vast, beautiful, intriguing world that we have. It is a slippery slope leading to the unconstitutional repression of First Amendment rights. If it passes, I fear not only for our libraries, but our schools, our museums, and our bookstores. I ask this board to vote it down. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Stephanie Nez, 5944 3rd Avenue. I'd like to speak, surprisingly, about the resolution about the segregation of library materials. I'm speaking first as an educator. My background is in the sciences, but since becoming a university professor, my specialization is in inclusive education, or how to promote the success of students who often fall between the cracks. I've written papers about it and given invited seminars, so it's something that I think about a lot. What is well known in the field is that in order to learn and perform at a high level, students need an affirming climate, particularly in fields that require a lot of rigor. So this explains phenomena like the overrepresentation of cis straight white men in many technical fields and areas of high achievement, as these are individuals who have had their identities implicitly affirmed for centuries. Okay, that's great. How does this have anything to do with putting some books in a little separate room in the library, right? I realize that the materials in question are available if you navigate the red tape, but I argue that it's the segregation itself that is the problem. It's unclear exactly how the label of pornographic will be applied in each case, but I know in many of these types of segregations, it applies to books that affirm or educate about LGBTQ identities, or stories that include examples of rape or assault. Okay. What does it say to queer people when the books that describe their identity and experience are roped off and labeled as pornography? And what about the victim of assault trying to understand and grapple with her traumatic experience? To segregate these materials and make them taboo is marginalizing, and it will have a negative impact on the success of some of our most vulnerable learners. It makes me a little sad that I have to use the powers of democracy to stand up here and say books are good, but I'm going to say it, books are good. People deserve to learn the truth about themselves and their experience without shame. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen? Please state your name and address.
I'm Guida Brown, 6201 39th Avenue. As the first speaker indicated, the legal definition of pornography has not changed. The definition, first used in 1842, remains the same today. What has changed is the Kenosha County Finance Committee's willingness to overreach. What is shocking is that this is coming about from the nonpartisan members or supporters of the Republican Party, the party of smaller government and parents' rights. We all know the oft-quoted attempt to explain pornography from Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart in 1964. I know it when I see it. But do we all know that he also said, quote, "Criminal laws in this area are constitutionally limited to hardcore pornography. I shall not today attempt further to define the kinds of material I understand to be embraced within that shorthand description, and perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so. And then, but I know it when I see it." The problem with this resolution is twofold. I've already mentioned the excessive overreach. It is not the Finance Committee's responsibility, nor the County Board's responsibility, nor the public library's responsibility to parent. It is the parent's responsibility. The precedent was set recently in Michigan with the mother of a 15-year-old school shooter. And let's face it, children can and do find porn a lot easier on the internet than they can at the library. There is no, quote, unauthorized exposure to materials containing adult content with the potential to lead to lawsuits, as this resolution portends, because parents are responsible for their children. If a parent chooses not to be aware of what the child is looking at or checking out of a public library, that's on the parent and only the parent. The second problem is the requesting of what amounts to an adult bookstore in my local library and its potential to lead to lawsuits. I may want to borrow a book from the library that someone thinks is porn. Who's going to make that decision? Because if Justice Potter Stewart believed that he could never succeed in intelligibly defining pornography, whose job here is that going to be? If porn is to be defined by the community standards, consider all the community members who are telling you what a bad idea this is. If this board insists on moving this excessive overreach
10
forward,
seconds.
let's wait for the lawsuits to begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
My name is Marita Huff. I live at 7939 34th Avenue, District 9. I do not have any research or special education about library science or any of these subjects, but then I don't think that any of you either do, as far as I know, have those degrees either. But I am here tonight to speak from my own personal experience with questionable books. When I entered my senior year of high school in a rural school district in central Wisconsin, I was a never-been-kissed a church-going farm girl. My senior English teacher was Orlando Infusino, and he coincidentally was from Kenosha County. God bless his soul. And the required reading list that he had included books that was quite shocking to me, and I often wondered if the principal or the school board knew what we were reading, often aloud in class. But none of us said anything because we knew that we were learning something more real than we had ever encountered before. Of the several books that we read that year, I remember two in particular, and I found a review of them on the internet, and I'll just give you a couple of lines. First was Man-Child in the Promised Land. It was a thinly fictionalized account of Claude Brown's childhood as a hardened, streetwise criminal while surviving the streets of Harlem. I remember graphic descriptions of sexual intercourse, buying, selling, and using drugs, shooting up, eluding the cops, and eventually getting incarcerated. And Mr. and Mrs. Bojo Jones. about an unplanned pregnancy and how they managed to keep the child and keep their sanity. Reading that one and the relationship challenges in baby care kept me from having children until I was 29 years old. So, I went straight from that farm to the Milwaukee County General School of Nursing, and that hospital treats all the abnormal, uninsured cases in Kenosha County, in Milwaukee County. And I could tell you stories that would be hilarious now, but the socially deviant and more sexually, behaviorally deviant patients that I had to care for one-on-one would make it was just out of the depth of a green 18-year-old, except I had senior English. Thank God for that, because at least I understood some of the slang. I understood what they were going through, that these were real people with real problems that deserved my care, and they were intimidating, yes, but they were really crying out for help.
You have 7 seconds.
Please let people read and books and learn from them instead of having to make their own mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, before we start the timer, I just want to say I intend on reading Barbara Bratton's statement that she released, and I don't know that she's here tonight. Okay. Were you going to read it?
I'm reading it.
Oh, okay, well, then I will reiterate what other folks are saying, that this is overreach, that we are expecting parents to parent their children. When my children were little, I went to the library with them, and this is beyond the scope of what your responsibility and your job is. There are some excellent statements about caring for children who have higher needs and are being ignored for this nonsense, okay? This is not your job.
Excuse me. Can I get your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got off.
I'm sorry.
Heidi Helgeson, 6507 40th Avenue. I apologize. So please vote this down. It needs to end now.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments?
Okay, next here. Howard Boone, 7817 7th Avenue, and I went up to greet Gabe back here, because we go walking at the Y, and I informed him that I am reading Barbara Bratton's statement because she was accepting a $4,000 donation from our First United Methodist Church. It was appropriate public input, let's say. And Barbara says the county board resolution to restrict access to adult level reading material in public libraries is unnecessary and misleading. In Kenosha County, municipalities have authority over administration of public libraries, including decisions over library collections. Authority does not reside with the county government. The authors of the resolution before you are aware of the distribution and have chosen to bring the matter before you today in an attempt to tarnish the reputation of a trusted and beloved community institution, your public library. At least one member of the committee has indicated to me, however, that he voted in the affirmative at the committee level to bring the matter to the level of public. So let us have conversation, but let us have that conversation. In fact, these are facts. There are no pornographic materials in public libraries. There are no materials in public libraries that could be legally described as obscene. Professional librarians do not base decisions on their personal viewpoints. Purchase decisions and decisions on shelving locations within the library are based on professional reviews by educators and librarians. The term adult in public libraries refers to a reading and interest level higher than 6th grade. It does not refer to salacious content. Library materials are organized organized into separate sections for children and adults based on reading level, interest, and sophistication of the class presented. No 5-year-old would be interested in or able to read and understand a 300-page work on the history of the conflict in Gaza. Many children under the age of 13 would, however, be both interested and able to understand the text. Restriction to this material makes no sense. Adult collectors include advanced books in every subject, including math, science, engineering, art, history, and philosophy. These books include a broad and inclusive adult collection.
You have 10 seconds.
Well, then I told Gabe I would take my own 3 minutes. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, that includes many versions of the Bible. Adult collections include classic literature like The Great Gatsby, Beowulf, and the works of Shakespeare. Books that are thoroughly studied in our schools by children under 18. Families without the means to purchase these books rely on the public library to provide copies for school use. Children under the age of 18 must have a parent's signature to get a library card of their own. Parents already have broad rights and control what their children read and view. State statutes give parents the right to know what a child under 18 has checked out from the public library. They can check their child's account online or by calling the library. Many families opt for a shared family account. Every public library has a formal process in place to accept requests for reconsideration of library materials from the public. Community members have the right to challenge any books placed in the library through a formal process that includes library board review. Kenosha Public Libraries are dedicated in supporting the healthy educational development of children. We can debate the merits of any particular book as a community and never reach consensus. But one thing we can all agree on is this. In the United States, the government does not determine what a person can read. That decision is an individual decision, and for minor children, the decision belongs to the child's parents. That is a definition of liberty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Godspeed, Gabe.
Any other citizen comments?
Friends of Library applications here. They'll help.
Please state your name and address.
Roseanne Baldoff, Shale, 7010 53rd Street. I'm in Stockers District. We have more important things to do than mess with the libraries. It's a big mess. We have more important things to do than censor literature, whatever is next, book burning, going back to the 50s, the 40s. You know, our libraries are safe spaces. Children can learn and grow and feel good. They can trust the library system. You are focusing on the wrong things. Many of you should be looking into keeping schools open, into providing children and what will become our children and grandchildren safe and excellent educations in the years to come. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
My name is Bruce Milne. I live at 9936 50th Avenue, Pleasant Prairie. I don't know my district number, but Monica Eulis is my county supervisor. You know, it's interesting reading this proposition, this proposal, that it's so vague. I can't believe it. It conflates the word adult with pornography, which is baffling to me. I don't know who's going to judge what is adult or what is pornographic. That's very troublesome. You're putting the librarians in a very difficult spot. It's going to become like a daycare center. I think that I raised 3 kids who all attended KUSD, and I have 5 grandchildren, 2 of whom live in Kenosha County, and I've taken them to the library. I assure you, if there were pornography in the library, there'd be a line out the door. I think it's incumbent upon us to really look at this and what it's trying to do. I know you're not protecting children. If somebody is so opposed to obscene literature in the library, but you want to go to the library, take your child to the library and watch what they're looking at. You have that right. On the other hand, don't try and impose your values on me. I believe in civil liberties, the First Amendment, and this sounds like something out of Salem, Massachusetts, back in the 17th century. We don't need to do that. Give people some credit. You would be surprised how much kids already know, especially teens, about sex. They don't get to go to the library to get this information. They go on the internet or talk to their friends. This does absolutely nothing about protecting children. It's just a political statement. That's all it is. And I'm surprised that those people who believe in small government are sponsoring this resolution. This isn't small government, this is Big Brother. Please defeat this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen? Please state your name and address.
I'm Robin Cullen from 2818 64th Street, Kenosha. I'm here tonight to speak out against the ridiculous resolution put forth by Supervisors Stocker, Decker, and Poole. The request that the public libraries build secured rooms to house books that are deemed inappropriate is not only silly. Am I going to have to ask the librarian for a key when I want to read a trashy romance novel for my beach vacation? But also not legally sound. There is no way any of the books you find offensive would pass the Miller test as set forth by the Supreme Court. But you already knew that. You know that this resolution cannot be done as written, from the physical aspect of building secured rooms with no money to the determination of which books get put in there. You know that, which is why you wrote into this resolution a deadline of 6 months. I suspect you plan in 6 months, when the public libraries haven't complied with your impossible requests, that you will use that opportunity to continue to villainize our award-winning libraries as not caring about children, and then put forth a resolution to defund the libraries. Supervisor Stocker already said during the Finance Committee that we give a lot of money to the libraries. The public libraries are appropriately funded because they are public. That means they are for everyone, not just a select few. Are there books in the library you may find offensive? I'm sure there are. I personally find poorly written books with no character development offensive, and certainly didn't want my children reading them. So you know what I do to protect myself? I don't check them out. And I suggest you do the same. Don't check out books you find offensive. And as far as parents and grandparents, monitor what your children read. If your children are hiding books from you, you have a bigger parenting problem than them actually reading books. So let me be very clear to every supervisor tonight. Every vote tonight in favor of this resolution is a vote against our award-winning public libraries. We as citizens will be watching very closely who votes in favor of public libraries and votes against them, with the possibility of voting to defund them in 6 months. With spring elections right around the corner and many of you up for re-election, you can be assured we will vote out every supervisor who does not support our public libraries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments?
Hi, Douglas Innisvet, 2015, 87th place. I'm also here to speak out against this resolution. I work in a high school, and let me just tell you that kids are increasingly focused on their screens. And there's so many algorithms that just turn them on from one thing to another. And books are one of the last vehicles for developing critical thought. Placing any sort of restriction on their access to literature that will be peer-reviewed, well-informed, is going to be extremely hazardous to their development. Already, I referenced this in the last meeting, but 50% of U.S. adults can't read above a 6th grade level. 20% are actually fully illiterate. Like, placing restrictions on things that might, actually interest them will just further push them into watching videos that are going to be poorly informed and likely radicalize them. I think that this is a vast overreach of government, and I am just very much against this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments?
Hello, good evening. My name is Peter Power, 2818 64th Street in Kenosha. I'm here, it's been touched on a few times this evening, but I'm here to speak to the significant administrative burden that you're about to place on our library system, our award-winning library system, if you consider to pass this resolution and think it through to its administrative conclusion, right? And the policies that have to follow, right? Segregating books considered pornographic, right, in the library system. Again, resolution introduced by Supervisors Stocker, Decker, and Proul. All members, all associates of Moms for Liberty, right? They'd require materials to be kept in a separate section accessible only to adults. Not only is the definition of what constitutes pornographic problematic, but how is our well-functioning, high-functioning, award-winning library system supposed to implement policy on this? To my utter amazement, it passed the Finance Committee. I was there, I witnessed it. I witnessed Supervisor Franco's eloquent, rationing as to why not to pass this resolution, right? Nope, it passed. Unbelievable. Raising concerns that library funding may now be, at risk to Moms for Liberty members on the board if this passes. And it's been spelled out, 6 months from now, right? So let's be clear, right? This resolution will put our award-winning library at financial risk, okay? If you're the administrator thinking this through, right? However, it's also essential to note that the Kenosha Public Library System is governed by a separate library board, right? Which is authority over materials selection, placement within the libraries. The library board members are accountable to the public. See how that works? Whew. How much time I got? Not only that, our library system is a rock star, guys, within the American Public Library Association. I mean, they are just incredible, the work they do there. Finally, restricting access to books is at its core a form of censorship and government overreach. You've heard that a few times. Our libraries are supposed to be safe spaces for free thought and learning. In 2019, PEN America found that book bans, especially targeting titles that deal with race or LGBTQ plus themes, have a chilling effect on the freedom to read.
You have 6 seconds left.
Standing up for the right to access to diverse books is about keeping true to those freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Please state your name and address.
Sarah Kirby, 7121 23rd Avenue. The resolution that passed the Finance Committee requiring separate adult sections in each library is not only gross government overreach, but also unnecessary and expensive for Kenosha taxpayers. The supervisors who supported and voted in favor of this amendment do not have young children, so they are apparently unaware that our libraries already have children's sections with books grouped by age level. And let's be realistic. Any kid that wants to find pornography will not be looking for it in the library. It's readily available on their smartphones, and they are remarkably good at getting around parental controls. Even the strongest parental controls in the world can't prevent your children from looking at their friends' unrestricted devices. If this passes, how much will this cost taxpayers to implement? It would require significant infrastructure investments in every library, expensive technological upgrades, and increased staffing on an ongoing basis, all to solve for a problem that doesn't exist. If this funding is not provided and libraries are forced to remove these books in order to avoid closing, then we get to pay for lawsuits that we will lose on First Amendment grounds. As of June 23rd, 2023, the county commissioners in Llano, Texas, had spent $184,240 defending a book ban implemented by county commissioners in 2021. They ultimately lost that battle and were ordered to return any removed books to the library, wasting taxpayer dollars for something the taxpayers didn't even want. Please consider the fact that we work really hard for every dollar that we make and that we provide to this county. Don't waste our money and don't waste our time.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Please state your name and address.
Kelly Foglio, 8806 65th Street, and my supervisor is Gabe Nudo. As a resident, I feel strongly against segregation of books or forcing the burden of the library to police or build special areas. Please leave these choices to the parents of the community. This sets undue pressure on the libraries, and these are choices that should be left to the parents' hands, not opinions of the select few. I see this as a sneaky means to limit funding in the future for non-compliant libraries. These are public libraries and should contain a wide array of material that the public can choose at their own discretion. What you may find inappropriate for your child, I may not for mine. The burden needs to be on the parent, not the library. I will advocate voting out anyone who supports requiring the libraries to police books. Please vote accordingly. The ACLU says censorship is a suppression of words, images, or ideas that are, quote, offensive, happens whenever some people succeed in imposing their personal, political, or moral values on others. Censorship can be carried out by the government as well as private pressure groups, end quote. With that, I'll add my daughter is a young adult author. She got her MFA here at Parkside. She has since moved out to West Virginia and taught there, and I'm proud of her. I also stand for her right to write without filtering her words. She's moving back home to Kenosha this summer, and she asked me if I knew what was happening to the library, and I said yes, and I ask you please reconsider.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Any other citizen comments? Please state your name and address.
My name is Jody Muirhoff, and I live at 7220 First Avenue. I'd like to thank Mr. Moon for reading the statement by the Kenosha Public Library Director. If you want to reread it, it's available on the Public Library website. It's an excellent statement. Usually when I come here, I come to speak to the supervisors, but tonight I'd also like to speak to the people that are here for the meeting and the thousands of people that watch these meetings either live on YouTube or in the days following the meetings. The supervisors who are sponsoring this resolution do not believe in protecting kids. If they did, they would not have supported allowing concealed guns into our public libraries, into our parks, and into our county buildings, but they did. The #1 killer of children in our country now is guns. So this is not about protecting kids. I'm I'm here because I oppose the library resolution. I agree it's government overreach. But what I really want to talk about is good, responsible government. It's something that's been lacking here in Kenosha County for the past 2 years. We've seen little of that from the majority on this county board. We've seen a group of hyper-partisan supervisors who have used their seats to advance an agenda that has nothing to do with improving the lives of the majority of the people who live in Kenosha County. They have not used their time to tackle affordable housing or health care. They have not prioritized mental health or drug and alcohol use treatment. They have not prioritized improving access to affordable, healthy food. By the way, those were the priorities of the people of Kenosha County on the most recent community health assessment. We have not seen good governments under the leadership of this board. But the good news is, good government is within our grasp. There's an election coming up on April 2nd, and all of these supervisors are up for election. Many of them have opponents. Some of them have actually spoken here tonight. You can go to kenoshacounty.org, click on the link for County Board of Supervisors, and under the word members, you will find a link to enter your address. If you don't know who your current supervisor is, that will show you. Please pay close attention tonight to how your supervisor votes on this attempt to restrict freedom and access to books in our public libraries. Pay attention to whether they support government overreach into an area that is nowhere in their job descriptions. You can go to myvote.wi.gov to find your polling place, to see a sample ballot.
6 seconds.
To find the polling hours, and anybody that votes on this resolution, I urge you to vote them out of office on April 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Guy Signor. I live on 8350 26th Avenue, and I'm in favor of this resolution. I think that the library should be a safe place for children to go, and that I shouldn't have to worry about the material that's being presented in the open, and that the books can be available but in a separate space so that we don't have to worry about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Please state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Steve Mudrock, 11120 237th Place, Trevor. And God bless America, and please watch over the heroes that protect us. For military veterans and first responders in the room, thanks for your selfless service in protecting us and defending the community and the Constitution of the United States. For the citizens in this room, please vote, which I view as a direct result of their efforts. For the supervisors in this room, please listen to what your constituents have to say. I've addressed a similar audience as this one on several occasions, and each time the elected officials have refused to listen to what the constituents have to say. I was at the county board meeting, or the library meeting in April, where over 50 residents were in place. The board supervisor at the library said that this is the largest gathering of people attending, and we presented our viewpoints. Those viewpoints were to no avail because we are here tonight talking about it. This topic of the banning books, restrictive areas, is a direct influence of Mothers for Liberty, who use Adolf Hitler in their newsletters, quoting, "He alone who owns the youth gains the future." A group governed by philosophies of Adolf Hitler is influencing supervisors in this room. The Finance Board listened to the proposal, this resolution that is coming forward. There are no details, there are no financing plans, there are no definitions, there are no procedures, there are no defined roles and responsibilities. It is a very vague proposal. The resolution that is coming forward is a direct violation of the First Amendment, where Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press. This is a direct violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution. This board, if they're really concerned about vulgar materials, need to take a ride on some of our county roads where F. Biden signs are freely flying along school bus roads. Mothers for Liberty and their local surrogates wants everyone to be scared that these books will enlighten readers. Parents should be responsible for the materials their children read, not other books read by other people. The costs for the educational barriers and additional staff required by this resolution are still unknown. It's like a blank check that will be paid by the citizens of the county, not by the outside influencers, and it's not in line with being good stewards of public funds.
You have 10
The
seconds.
citizens of this Kenosha County, specifically the 21st District, want elected officials to control costs. Last night, 54% of the District 21 voters said no to Wilmot School's $7.5 million referendum for additional funding. Listen to your constituents. Vote no to this costly, freedom-suppressing resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen wish to speak? Any other citizen wish to speak? Please state your name and address.
Shauna Zestera, 1882 Clairville Road, Oshkosh. May I have permission to speak if I'm not in the county?
Yes, you do.
Okay. I am serving as County Board Supervisor for District 32, Winnebago County. I am here to speak in support of the library resolution that will be brought forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen wish to speak? Any other citizen wish to speak? Any other citizen wish to speak? Seeing none, citizen comments are closed. Okay, I just have a couple things. One is just a reminder about the executive committee tomorrow night. And also, I'm planning to have a committee of the whole on March 5th, just before the county board meeting. It's about a presentation of racial equity employees survey. So please keep that in mind, and we set the time in the very near future. Supervisor reports. Any supervisors? Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pertaining to item number 102, which is the library resolution, my wife is an employee of the community library, which is part of the county library system. While there may not be an actual conflict, I am concerned about the appearance of potential conflict, and as a basis of my decision that I must abstain from this vote and any discussion thereof. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? Seeing none, supervisor comments are closed.
County executive appointments, 40, Joseph Potente to serve on the Local Emergency Planning Committee.
Refer to Judiciary and Law.
41, Clement Abangwa to serve on the Local Emergency Planning Committee.
Refer to Judiciary and Law.
New business, Resolution 90 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Kathy McCutcheon to serve on the Commission on Aging and Disability Services. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Geertsen and Nedweski excused.
Supervisor Stock. Moved by Supervisor Stock, second by Supervisor Stocker. Supervisor Stock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this resolution is to approve the appointment of Ms. Kathy McCutcheon to serve on the Kenosha County Commission on Aging and Disability Services. Her appointment did pass unanimously, and I would encourage the board's approval this evening.
Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 91 from the Human Service committee a resolution to approve the appointment of Kayla Hove to serve on the Kenosha County's Board of Health. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Geertsen and Edweski excused.
Supervisor Stuck.
Move Resolution 91.
Moved by Supervisor Stuck, second by Supervisor Gant. Supervisor Stuck.
Yes, Ms. Kayla Hove did come to our committee and introduced herself. I would encourage the board's approval this evening, and her appointment did pass unanimously.
Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 92 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Dr. Harry Laws to serve on Kenosha County's Board of Health. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Geertsen and Edweski excused.
Supervisor Stuck.
Move Resolution 92.
Moved by Supervisor Stuck, second by Supervisor Stucker. Supervisor Stuck.
Thank you. This appointment passed our committee unanimously. I would encourage the board's approval this evening.
Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 93 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Julia Robinson to serve on Kenosha County's Board of Health. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Geertsen and Edweski excused.
Supervisor Stuck.
Move Resolution 93.
Moved by Supervisor Stuck, second by Supervisor Kubicki. Supervisor Stuck.
Yes, this was for a reappointment that did pass our committee unanimously, and I would encourage the board's approval this evening.
Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 94 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Kenny Harper to serve on the Kenosha County's Board of Health. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Geertsen and Edweski excused.
Supervisor Stuck.
Move Resolution 94.
Moved by Supervisor Stuck, second by Supervisor U.S. Supervisor Stuck.
Yes, I would again ask for the board's approval this evening for the reappointment of Kenny Harper to serve on the Kenosha County's Board of Health.
Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 95 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Barbara Wisniewski to serve on the Brookside Board of Trustees. This passed at committee with Supervisor Stock, Gantz, Kubicki, and Uhas voting aye, Supervisor Stocker voting nay, Supervisors Geertsen and Edweski excused.
Let's try one more time, Supervisor Stock.
Move Resolution 95.
Moved by Supervisor Stock, second by Supervisor Kubicki. Supervisor Stock.
Barbara Bazinski's reappointment did pass our committee. I would encourage the board's approval this evening.
Any comments? Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the county clerk, can you read the roll from committee again?
Supervisor Stock, Gantz, Kubicki, and Uhas voted aye. Supervisor Stocker voted nay. Supervisors Geertsen and Edweski were excused.
Thank you. Through the chair to Supervisor Stocker, if he's willing, I'm just curious why you voted no.
Do you want to answer that, Supervisor Stocker?
I'd have to refresh my memory on that. I'm sorry, with all the stuff going on right now,
that's fine.
That's
Sure, you don't have to
beyond me,
answer.
sorry.
Okay. Any other supervisors? Any other supervisors? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 96 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Aaron Strom to serve as a member of the Kenosha County Local Emergency Planning Committee, Group 2 Fire Services. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Beshaw.
Chairman, I move item number 96
Moved by Supervisor Besha, second by Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Besha.
Thank you, Chair. This is a resolution to appoint Aaron Strom to continue serving on the Kenosha Local Emergency Management Committee. He was not able to attend committee as he was deployed elsewhere at that time. However, we did pass unanimously, and I ask for your approval this evening.
Okay, any comments? Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 97 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Carson Wilkinson to serve as a member of the Kenosha County Local Emergency Planning Committee, Group 4 Community Group. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Besha.
Move item 97.
Moved by Supervisor Besha, second by Vice Chair Decker. Supervisor Besha.
Thank you, Committee and Chair. I ask for your approval of the continuing service of Carson Wilkinson as he's reappointed to serve as a member on the Kenosha County Local Emergency Planning Committee. This was passed unanimously, and I believe he is here this evening, as Sergeant Hanna has indicated. So any questions? Happy to answer them.
Okay. Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 98 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a request to approve the appointment of Michael Bastianelli as Chief Information Officer. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Geertsen and Grady excused.
Supervisor Rose.
I move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Frango. Supervisor Rose.
It's with pleasure that I present Mr. Bastianelli's appointment as the Chief Information Officer for Kenosha County. He's worked for Kenosha County for over 20 years. He's held leadership positions, has always done well. He's very easy to work with. I urge your support this evening.
Thank you. Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Passes.
Resolution 99 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee and Finance Administration Committee, a resolution approving the fundraiser for the K-9 unit. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisors Geertsen and Grady excused.
Supervisor Besha.
Move Resolution 99.
Moved by Supervisor Besha, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Besha.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. This is a resolution to approve a fundraising activity within the Sheriff's Department specific to the K-9 unit. As you know, we have some exceptional K-9s serving in the department, and they wish to utilize this opportunity to raise funds that are specific to improving the environment. In other words, more K-9s and better K-9 training, et cetera, as necessary. So it's an exciting opportunity. This is similar to the DARE program, where this is freestanding within the Sheriff's Department. They have some exceptional coins that will be available and other fundraising activities, and I strongly ask for your endorsement of this resolution.
Thank you. Any comments? Any Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Over the last week or so, we've seen quite a few different stories about this, and we've got some fine gentlemen in the back of the room. I'm not sure if they brought their canines with them tonight, but the Kenosha County Canine Unit, the Sheriff's Department, seems to constantly be on the move. One thing I read online over the weekend that troubled me was a gentleman of, I don't know where if he even lived in our community, but he commented on a post online over the weekend, and he said, our tax dollars are high enough, why are you, asking to fundraise off of us now for this? And something I just want to reiterate, and Sergeant Coltrip for the Sheriff's Department, the Sheriff himself, members of the K-9 Unit have all reiterated this as well, is the Kenosha County K-9 Unit is not funded by Kenosha County tax dollars. It's funded by federal dollars. That doesn't mean that they're not tax dollars. They certainly are. But we've been able to as a county board, able to provide a service to our community without spending levy dollars here in our community. And I think that's something we should be proud of. Moreover, I think we should be proud of the men who make up our K-9 unit. And we've seen not just inside of our community here, the city of Kenosha, the village of Pleasant Prairie, the village of Twin Lakes, they have very successful fundraising programs. And I think what that says is the community stands behind not only law enforcement, but especially behind these hard-working men and women and their K-9 partners that keep our community safe. So it's for these reasons, my profound love of dogs, for those of you who know, what my family does and kind of how I was raised in and around dogs. And I'll say it here tonight, I think my mom probably loves her shepherds more than she loves her children. And that's okay. But it's for those reasons that I'm going to be supporting this, and I look forward to working with the community to support our K-9 unit here in Kenosha County. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, through the chair to Deputy Dog Riggs, if he is back there. Yes. If you, and if his partner, Deputy Tift, if you can come up for just a moment, and maybe you can share what some of those funds would be used for from this fundraising, I think would be enlightening to everybody. Thank you.
Come here, buddy. Where do you want me, right here?
That'd be perfect. Or you can come up.
It makes people feel more comfortable.
You can go up to the mic.
You want to use the mic?
Like they were saying, having donations for the canine unit, these dogs cost a lot of money. To get a dog and go through training is $8,000 for a dog, $8,000 for school. Then you have the squads and all the training to keep these dogs certified and up to date, and it's just a lot of money. So anything that we can get from the community to help with that, since we did lose our federal funding, would be great. And I'll take any questions if you guys have any. Go ahead.
Hold on. Okay, you're done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. Supervisor Thomas.
I had nothing else. I just wanted to recognize this partners. They were at our legislative meeting earlier, and I thought everyone should get a good look. Take out your cameras if you like. I'll call him Officer Riggs. The dog's a hero just a couple days ago. So it's an important part of our community safety, and we should do all we can to support him. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Belsky.
I just want to know when the fundraiser kicks off, once it's approved tonight.
That, you'd have to ask Sergeant Coltrip.
All right, so I'm Sergeant Colin Coltrip. I've been kind of helping out with all of this. The fundraising will kick off officially upon approval from everybody. Please, thank you. It'll be March 11th. We'll start it off on March 11th, where people can donate funds and they'll receive a gift on behalf of the K-9 unit as a show of our appreciation and support. The gifts would be K-9 plushies, and we're going to be starting off the K-9 rigs. After K-9 rigs, we'll slowly move down each individual K-9 that we have here. And in the back, we have the K-9 handlers. We have Deputy Langtote in the back, Deputy Booth, and DSO Loesch, who are all K-9 handlers as well. And they'll have their own K-9 plushies down the road. And all those funds, like Deputy Tift explained, will help raise funds for another K-9 unit, for more training, because KSD is one of the top and most highly trained departments in Wisconsin, and we're going to continue to try to strive to do that with these funds.
Thank you.
What I will say is I will pay $100 over what you're selling it for the first plushie.
Ooh, that's a good bid.
Okay?
Anybody else?
Anything else, Supervisor Belsky?
No.
Okay, any other supervisors? Supervisor Bashaw.
Thank you, Chair. Riggs was downstairs earlier, and it's an exceptional recovery program that he's went through, recovery curve, and a dedicated dog. As I said downstairs earlier, and I believe in my heart, Officer Riggs is an extension of the deputies that handle him. The dogs are not separate from. I have a lab at home, my wife says is inseparable from me. They bond together with us, but they become part of your duty kit on a daily basis. So this program, to me, I think is absolutely exceptional. It's a great opportunity to spotlight something that is special in our department and other departments, but special in our department in that we have seen the work that Riggs and the other working dogs have done for Kenosha County, and hopefully we have a bomb dog in the future that will add to that layer and bring more safety and security to us. But when you think about it, getting out and going through reedy fields to try to track somebody down, I know the way my dog tracks down pheasants, they go down and track down that criminal. So it's exceptional what they do, and I thank you guys for the program, and I thank you for what you do for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is probably a question more for Sheriff Zorner. I don't know if I had heard before that the federal funds, we lost that. When did we lose that? Was that this year, last year?
Well, we haven't bought a dog in a while, and the last dog we purchased was done so with grant money. So it could have been a while ago, because we haven't used any of those funds, so for quite a while. But when we had a meeting about this recently, it was a few months ago, Deputy Tiff and I got together, and as I had become more and more versed with the money, I was told that the federal funds are gone, that we're not getting that anymore. They stopped that program. So I contacted Racine County Sheriff, same. Actually, I met with their chief deputy this morning after an RNC planning event, and they confirmed that all of their canine is funded through donations. And that's what we're doing here now, because that federal money's gone.
And are there any other sheriff departments that it's funded by the county? Not by donations?
I'm sure there are, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This seems like it's such an essential part of the operations of your department. Is there an intent to request it in the next budget, or?
We haven't discussed that yet. We obviously want to see how well this does. I personally don't want to come to the board and ask for money for anything I don't have to. You've all been very good to us already. We're doing incredible work right now based on those new detectives we received. Thank you very much. But everyone here understands, well, I push for drug enforcement constantly, and these men in the back of the room and that one do that all day, every day, and they're exceptional at it. They're making drug cases every single day. You already know how our courts are backed up, but we're making solid cases, and those dogs, their nose is probable cause, and that makes a really good case fast. So we've been working on this for a long time, and all these deputies have connections in the community, so they know business owners that are very energetic about our canine program. So I believe we're going to do very well with this, and I'm very excited about it. And everyone, you can see them here, they didn't have to be here tonight, and they wanted to be here, and we put them all over the building. I wasn't here early, sorry about that, but we were able to put them all over the building because they don't always play well together. But the reality is that we're very enthusiastic about what's happening. I've asked, so many of you have already told me that you have checks in your pocket and you're ready to go, and where's the plushie? And I can tell you that we had, I'm long-winded, you all know that, I apologize. But we were able to, we have the plushies on lockdown, so nobody can sneak them out, right? So our former chief deputy was in the building for a retirement a couple weeks ago, and he's like Supervisor Rodriguez's mother. He is an insane dog lover, and I refer to these folks as hardcore. And I said to Sergeant Coltrip, I said, would you run to your office and get me one of those plushies? They looked at me kind of funny. And we presented that plushie to the Chief Deputy, Chuck Smith, and he sent me a text message later. He says, I'm so happy with the way things are going, because when you walk away from your life's work, you have no idea what direction it's going to go. And these men and women that work with us, with the cases we're doing right now, are so important. And that he said, I'm almost in tears writing this. And these men and women that you're helping support in their efforts, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be supportive in everything that they're doing, and that's where we're at. So as opposed to coming to you and asking for a blank check, I'm just coming to you and ask for permission to put this program in place so we can babysit every dollar going in, so when you have those questions, we can show you who gave us every dollar.
Well, it's not going to be a blank check, but I think in the future, regardless of what the fundraising comes out to, I think at least start to explore what the cost would be so that you can plug it in one day when you need to.
Absolutely.
I think that's essential, especially over the years as costs increase.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other supervisor? Any other supervisor? Seeing none, this requires a two-thirds vote.
Resolution 99 passes unanimously. Resolution 100 from Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee and Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution approving the 2024 WIOJA Multi-Jurisdictional Drug Task Force Grant, Southeast Area Drug Operations Group, CDOG. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Geertsen and Grady excused.
Supervisor Bashaw.
I move CDOG Resolution 100.
Moved by Supervisor Bashaw, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Bashaw.
Thank you, Chair. To the board, this resolution you've seen many times in the past. It is a resolution regarding a multi-jurisdictional drug task force named CDOG. Kenosha County becomes the central point for the funds that are brought in, and then we distribute to the other counties as well. This is an exceptional program, has been vital to our department here, and I ask for your approval tonight.
Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, we're going to vote, and also this one requires two-thirds vote.
Resolution 100 passes unanimously. Resolution 101 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution to accept and utilize Wisconsin Land Information Program grant funding for Kenosha County Land Records Project activities. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisors Geertsen and Grady excused.
Supervisor Rose.
Move the resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Rose, second by Vice Chair Decker. Supervisor Rose.
The resolution before you is the acceptance of a grant from the Wisconsin Department of Administration to Kenosha County for $10,000. The purpose is to update our internal delinquent tax parcel management application. It was approved unanimously by the committee. We ask your support this evening.
Any supervisor comments? Any comments? Seeing none, we're going to vote, and this one requires two-thirds vote also.
Resolution 101 passes unanimously. Resolution 102 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution protecting children from materials containing adult content in taxpayer-funded libraries in Kenosha County. This passed at committee. Supervisor Poole, Decker, and Stocker voting aye, Supervisors Rose and Franco voting nay, and Supervisors Geertsen and Grady excuse. And I would like to mention Supervisor Nordigan's comments earlier that he plans to abstain from any discussion or voting on this resolution.
Supervisor Stocker.
Move Resolution 102.
Moved by Supervisor Stucker, second by Supervisor Poole. Supervisor Stucker.
I have a handout for each person here. I can't make it available to the public because of the content of it, but I think it's worth each supervisor being able to see what I'm going to be talking about. I would also like to move that we amend the resolution to remove adult and replace it with obscene, which will be more in line with our, with the law, except in the last sentence.
Okay, is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, is that a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Decker. Can you repeat the motion, Reggie?
Supervisor Stacker has made a motion to amend the word adult throughout the resolution, with the exception of the last paragraph of now therefore be it resolved, that shall remain using the word adult. So he is replacing adult throughout the resolution with the word obscene.
Okay. Supervisor Stucker.
This will just clarify, it gives us a definition that's set by the state so that there will be less controversy in the process. Thank you.
Anything else? Or?
Oh, well, that's for just for that change, right? This is about, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to vote on the change.
Discussion on that amendment, please.
Yeah. Okay, that's what so I do have quite a few lights that went on, but I did not know if you guys want to speak on the motion, so I'm going to go through in the order that they came in, and if you don't want to, please say so. So Supervisor Gantz.
Yes, I'll be voting against this because you can play all the word gymnastics you want and it's still a ridiculous thing, so I won't be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Rose.
I would inquire the Corporation Council, did you review this change or the resolution itself?
I was not aware of the amendment. I did review the original resolution when it was presented to the chair.
Did you assist in drafting it?
I did not assist in drafting it.
Did you give an opinion as to its constitutionality?
The opinion that I gave is that the resolution appears on its face to be nothing more than advisory. It is a request. It is not a compulsion, and I didn't go any further in the analysis than that.
So you have no opinion as to the wording being constitutional or not? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is my analysis ended at the point where I determined that it was not a compulsion or a something that was enforceable against the libraries. It was a request, and I didn't go any further into the language than that.
I would suggest to you that we do fund the county library system, so that the county library system is going to be impacted by this. There's been some discussion about who sits on that board, and Supervisor Stocker has brought this issue before. I voted against this resolution, as did Supervisor Franco in committee. I think it's completely unenforceable. What is the definition here of obscene? I think you're falling upon...
Point of order?
Who asked for a point of order?
I did.
Supervisor Stoker.
We're supposed to be discussing the change, not the actual.
Well, it's discussing the changes. Go ahead, Supervisor.
All right, thank you. What is this definition of obscene? You focusing on one single area, and that is sex. You're saying that a word, a phrase, a paragraph must be stricken from the book. You're not looking at the overall literary content, the artistic or scientific or political views it may express. Just because there's a paragraph that you particularly find offensive does not make the book obscene. Mr. Moon pointed out in reading the librarian's statement, there is no book in the library that falls under the category of obscenity as defined by the U.S. Supreme Court. We're just making waves here that are frankly unenforceable and embarrassing to the county board. There are many issues that we can be dealing with tonight. This ought not to be one of them. What are we going to do? Are you going to ask the chair to appoint a smut committee with a group of smut busters from the county board who are going to be reading words to the board or in secret as we pass this out here, not to be shared with anyone else? This is ridiculous. I hope that we don't engage in a long debate, but vote it down quickly so that the message is loud and clear. We're opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Hold on, please refrain from, Supervisor Uwas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Supervisor Rose asked the same question I was going to. I wanted a definition.
Okay.
Mic on?
Oh,
Yes.
Could you lean closer to it so I can hear your voice?
I was asking for a definition of the word obscene.
Okay, so you got your answer?
did. I got my
Okay.
Well, kind of.
Okay. Supervisor Berg.
I originally pushed my button to speak on the whole, but as this came up, I just want to be clear. The motion is to replace the word adult with the word obscene throughout the entire resolution. So this is going to read, now therefore let it be resolved, last paragraph. Now therefore let it be resolved that the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors respects...
Point of order.
Hold on. Hold on.
Every word is switched except the last paragraph, she said.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I didn't see that part. I was in the bathroom. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Supervisor Franco.
I frankly don't think this is going to make much of a difference either, this last-minute adjustment in the terminology. There's so many other problems with this resolution. So we can change the word, but again, it goes undefined. I'll be more than happy to define it when I get an opportunity to speak, but I'm not going to support it because I don't think it amounts to anything.
Okay. No, he did before.
No, that's it.
No, that's it. Okay, I don't see any more supervisors that want to speak on it. So, roll call requested. Yes. Yes on the amendment. Can you repeat the amendment?
The motion to amend Resolution 102 to replace the word adult with the word obscene throughout the resolution with the exception of the last paragraph. A vote yes would approve this amendment. A vote no is against the amendment. Yeah, you can abstain. Yeah. The amendment fails, 12 no, 8 yes, and 2 abstains.
Okay. On the motion itself.
Okay, so Supervisor Rose, you would like it to be a no vote instead of abstain? Okay.
I did not abstain.
Okay. Please note it, we'll note it in the record that it is 13 no, 8 yes, and 1 abstain, and the 1 abstaining is Supervisor Nordigan.
Okay. Supervisor Stuck.
Thank you. If you look at the handout, there's a picture there inside the Southwest Library. It shows the children's section, and right to the left of that is a display. And if you go to page 2, it shows that display, and most of the following slides came from the books in this display and one right next to it, right outside the children's section. So if you look at page 3, and I can't read that in this meeting because of the content, but you can, it's clearly not something that our children should be exposed to or reading unless they have a parental oversight on that. Then if you go to the next page, I just picked these books off and I was just thumbing through them, and this is the kind of stuff that's right there available, right outside the children's section. Then if you flip the next page, this whole page is really serious stuff. Feel free to read it if your mind can take it. And then the final picture is just another one of the books that was, I'm just thumbing through it, and that's what I found. And so the idea that this material is not in the idea that this material is not in the library is untrue. So how did I get involved in this? The county exec called me up when we first got elected and asked me to be on the library system board as a representative of the county. It seemed like a position that needed to be filled and not much more, and I had no idea what I was to do or what the committee was about, and I did not come to the committee with this agenda at all. I had no sense of what I was going to find. However, I have been shocked into action, and I continue to be shocked by what is taking place. When I tried to address this with the head librarian in the committee, I was told that I was not in the position of oversight. My main job was to approve the county's payment to the library system. Twice we invited her to meet with the executive committee, and twice she turned that down. The payment we make to the library is over $1 million a year. So here I am, I'm supposed to encourage you to pay that money, and this is the kind of service we're getting, and there's no response to our concerns, or my concerns. I believe as a customer to this library system, we have the right to express our opinions regarding the service we are receiving, and that's what this resolution is about. Why is this resolution needed? Unfortunately, I cannot present all the materials I've found. It's overwhelming. The idea that this stuff is not in the library is not even reasonable. But each of you have a packet on your desk with some of the examples. I apologize for what you're looking at, but understand that these books are openly displayed in our libraries and often put in displays that bring special attention to them. And in this case, right outside, I was just there Tuesday or Monday, and these displays were right there in front of the children's section. So how did we get into this situation? Our professional libraries and staff researched and selected these books. This is per the procedure that was given to the committee. Then our professional librarians and staff used our tax dollars to purchase these books. Finally, our professional librarians and staff chose where to place and display the books. It is their actions and choices that have led to the need for this resolution today. They have $8 million to install an elevator in a building downtown, but they don't have enough money to separate these books. I find that interesting. But it all boils down to the following. Do you want to expose our children to obscene material without parental oversight? parental oversight in the library is very difficult because your child can take out a book, you won't find out about it until later. And they can review those books in the library. So you're saying we can't drop our children off at the library because we have to be there to make sure they're not looking at something. That seems, that's unfortunate. The age for this material is 18, according to the state, and I think that we should be looking for the librarians to put that into play. So do you want to expose our children to obscene material without parental oversight, or do you want to protect our children? And I'm asking you to please vote to protect our children tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I'll start off by saying this. I think, what those of us who are sitting here tonight with this packet in front of us are reading, certainly nothing that we would want to read out loud in a forum like this, but I don't think it inherently makes that wrong. And it's not my role as County Board Supervisor to dictate to parents in my district what their kids should or should not read. Now, I think maybe it's tasteless, to say the least, to have books like this so close to the children's section, to the entrance to the children's part of the library there. And for those of you who can't see this, these are pictures inside the Southwest Library off of 80th. And yeah, it's close to the entrance. I don't think maybe that was the best idea. It probably sounds like a lapse in judgment. But I don't think it's the government's role to raise children and control what they can and can't see. If this resolution was what Supervisor Stocker just said, the state says that you should be 18. If this resolution was asking the library board or the library system to maybe take a look at who can check out what books, I think that's definitely worth a discussion. I think the content in this packet, it certainly has no business in the hands of, a middle school student or younger, even a high school student probably. But that's not my decision to make as County Board Supervisor. So for that reason, I won't be supporting this tonight. I think Supervisor Stocker has definitely brought up a discussion, and a discussion that needs to be had in the community. But I think I was just at the library this weekend, at this same library for something unrelated on Saturday, and I walked past that display. I wasn't even aware of it. Again, that doesn't mean that kids can't go up to it and can't take it in, and I don't think that that's the best place for that display. But I don't think that the county board should be tasked with governing what books are not available to the public. So for that reason, I'll be voting no.
Thank you. Supervisor Berg.
Call the question.
Second. Okay.
Stop debate.
Call the question by Supervisor Berg, second by Supervisor Rose. Okay? This is not the...
Requires no debate.
No debate. I'm sorry?
Requires two-thirds present.
Two-thirds present, okay. Let's vote. And it's two-thirds.
This would be to end debate.
To end debate. To end debate.
A yes vote is a vote to end debate and move directly to a vote on the resolution.
The motion passes 12 yes, 9 no, and 1 abstain. Oh, it failed. I'm sorry, it failed. I always get those confused.
Okay.
I wasn't listening.
So then we go to...
It passes. Or fails.
Supervisor Gens.
Thank you. So this is, from what I understand now, advises the libraries to do this. So this resolution has no teeth, and it's not, it's not really asking for anything. It's just advising the libraries. Is that correct?
Requesting.
Requesting. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Was there a fiscal note with this? Was there a explanation of who decides what is obscene or adult or pornographic or any other word we want to use? Who makes that decision? I also would like to know how the monitoring of that goes. This just, even if you wanted to consider this, it's so incomplete, vague, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It would not surprise me if it passed, because this board has had a habit of not listening to the constituents to this point. And if there's frustration on that side of the aisle, can you imagine the frustration on this side? So, I mean, I tried to bring up, just the other day, a resolution to not have guns in county properties, but it was sent to a committee that I couldn't attend because I worked. I thought it would go to the legislative committee. The hiring and firing at will, the racial equity, all the stuff that this board has had a habit of doing over the last 2 years, I just find really bothersome. And this just adds to that list. So I won't be supporting this, and I hope the rest of the board doesn't either. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Uwas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Supervisor Stocker. Do you know how many feet that display was from the children's section? Because it looks pretty far away. It's not like right at the entrance.
I didn't measure it, but if you walk in to the children's section, just in the middle, it's right there. It's about this far away. So it's not very far at all. And if you're going into the library itself, you have to walk right past it.
Okay. So it looks like a lot of these books are romance novels, what I gather from the context of it.
They're on the display there.
Yeah, they're romance novels that are on the display. I guess my question is, would you consider National Geographic adult content?
I don't want to get into a debate of what I would think, because that's not what this is about. It's about what is obscene and what is not.
But you're the maker of the motion.
And our state legislature has defined obscene. So we don't need to debate what would fit and what wouldn't. There's a definition there, and that's what I would expect us to use.
Okay, but I strongly disagree, since you're the maker of this resolution. I guess I'm just curious what we're going to be expecting our library staff to be removing from the shelves. And who deems what is inappropriate?
Anything that fits that definition of obscene.
But it's obscure.
Have you read that?
The definition?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's open to interpretation.
It didn't seem that unclear to me. And we have, these folks are trained, supposed to be professional. They should be able to read that kind of language and come to a conclusion, I would think.
Okay, have you done any forecasting on what the financial costs are going to be to the taxpayers to have staffing go through these books and pull these books?
I did not, nor I didn't do the financial research on purchasing them either. But when you choose to purchase something like that, you carry the responsibility of handling it in an appropriate way, I would believe.
But you're asking them to handle something that they have not done in the past, so you're kind of changing their job duties. So that's adding a burden to them that they haven't had to do before. So they may have to hire additional staff, which means where are we going to come up with that money? Are we going to do a budget resolution amendment to give additional costs to the library board if we do incur additional costs?
So here's the thing. This kind of material was not always available to children in the library. There was a change that was made then. And now I think that change needs to be undone, because I was completely unaware, and I think most parents are unaware of what's available in the library. There's no warnings out there. There's nothing in the library when you enter the library. Be careful, because there's material here that you might not want your children to see. When they're checking out books, there's no warnings to say, hey, this book, you might not want your children to see this. It's not the responsibility. They took that responsibility on when they made these books available to children.
These books have been in our libraries since libraries were created. This isn't something new. Romance novels have been in library books since the day libraries opened. National Geographic has been in libraries forever. So this is where this is where my thought is how are we determining, and what direction are we going to give our staff? This resolution doesn't do anything. To me, this is just a ploy for election time, so you can say to your constituents, hey, look at what I'm standing up for. There's no financial budget on what this is going to cost. There's no parameters as to what we want moved into a secure area. There's nothing telling us what we're going to do for additional staffing if it's needed. It's very vague, and I can't support this. You know, we're stewards of tax dollars. Yeah. And I don't see how the makers of this resolution put any thought into the additional costs that are going to come of this.
So here's what I'll say. I did not do this to try and get reelected, because this is likely to make it so I'm not reelected. So let's not play that game.
Hold on, please.
I care about our children, and that's why I did this, and that's what we need to focus on. And the idea that these children can walk into our library and have access to this, and you want the parents to control that? There's many other things that parents are not allowed to control that would turn my stomach, but that's a whole nother thing. We need to allow parents they need to be informed that this stuff is there. Most parents, as I'm talking to people, they're like, I can't believe that's in the library. So there's a lack of communication. There's to display it so openly right by a children's section is just as preposterous to me, and they need to take actions to get it in a location where if a parent wants their children to have it, the parent can get it and give it to their children. There's storage rooms they can put them in, and parents can order it from there. They put all kinds of books in storage rooms. If it's such an expense, otherwise they can rope off an area, and this is adult only, and if they see a child in there, they can remove them. It does not have to be this huge expense. And I've not required certain things so that they have the freedom there's a flexibility in how they perform it.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, your comment, what you stated is that any child under the age of 18 would not be able to check out a book in that secure location because they're not of age.
Correct.
So a teenage girl could not check out a romance novel or probably look at a National Geographic because there's pictures in there of certain things. I can tell you, I've raised 2 sons. I was a PTA mom for 13 years. I consider myself a pretty damn good parent. My children, one's an accountant, one is in management at a major corporation in Kenosha County. They've done very well. When they went to the library, guess what? I went with them. Because as a parent, that's my responsibility. I took an interest in what they checked out. Nowadays, we expect others to do the jobs of being parents, and that's not our job as a county board supervisor. If you want your child to go to a library and check out a book, which I'd be curious to wonder how many books are even checked out anymore because everything's online. But parents who have an interest in what their children are involved in and what they are doing are involved in their lives. And again, I'm not going to be supporting this. This is very poorly written. Like I said, there's no plan for how this is going to be implemented, where the funding is going to come if there's additional costs, what deems a pornographic book. And with that, I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Frango.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Many of the things I'm planned on saying have been mentioned in part, but I think it's important to emphasize some of the detailed questions, the historical and legal questions that may have not been addressed. So let me summarize some of the arguments I made in committee the other day so we can analyze this in a little more detail, because I totally agree the resolution itself is incredibly vague. There are lots of undefined terms. There are lots of inferences and conclusions that are drawn that don't follow, etc. So, number one, this resolution is a solution looking for a problem. There already exists a remedy for those parents who want to prevent their children from encountering adult-themed books in the public library. Parents can simply go to the library with their children and prevent them from checking out books, or prevent them from browsing in the adult section if they so choose. I might add, no one under 9 is allowed in the library alone. Also, no one under 16 can get a library card alone. All parents also have access to any book their child checks out. In short, as been said several times tonight, the burden of responsibility is on the parents to supervise their children. It's not the library's responsibility to co-parent. In this case, the First Amendment right and public interest in providing access to all information must be weighed against the claim that some want to restrict particular information in a public setting, not only from their children, but all children. I believe this is precisely why Wisconsin Statute 944.21 prevents schools and public libraries from liability in this area. Public interest takes priority over private interest when it comes to voluntary access to public information. In other words, going to a library is entirely optional and not required or mandated. The public library is part of the commons of which we all share and contribute towards. It shouldn't be used as an ideological testing ground to promote the agenda of a particular individual or group at the expense of the common good. 2, even if this resolution came to be, it wouldn't work and would be a nightmare to implement, as has already been suggested by several supervisors and people in the audience. For example, how would we create a safe space in public libraries? There already exists an adult section in the library. Would we need to wall off the entire existing adult section, or would we need to create a separate controversial books adult section, only wall that off? Who and how would it be monitored? Would all young people need an ID to show the entrance to the adult section? What if students didn't have a driver's license yet? What form of ID would be acceptable? As per the language of the resolution, all young people would also need a permission slip to enter the proposed safe space. Would we need to hire more librarians? How would we decide which librarians get to play security guard for the adult section, etc., etc., etc.? Furthermore, what's to stop one student whose parent allows him to check out a particular controversial book to lend it to another student without the knowledge of his or her parents? The short answer is absolutely nothing. And this is why this policy is misguided. Thirdly, the resolution totally misunderstands the purpose of a public library. A public library is a publicly funded entity that serves the needs and interests of all Kenosha County residents. A library provides access to all knowledge. It does not promote or privilege information or act as a moral arbiter as to which information is appropriate or not. If a library was subject to all religious, moral, philosophical, or political objections that a community could muster, there would be very few books in the public library. One could imagine someone objecting to books that deal, say, with the subjects of communism or fascism or atheism or sacred books from other religious traditions. What about the Bible itself? What would one say to an ideologically driven group of atheists who have an axe to grind and want the Bible separated in a safe space due to an objection to religious belief and practice? You can see that this resolution would open up a Pandora's box of challenges, legitimate or otherwise. In short, public libraries don't censor. The only limitations a public library must adhere to are legal statutory restrictions. Lastly, as mentioned again, but I need to emphasize this, who determines what is pornographic, or more specifically, what is obscene? Supervisor Stocker is correct to make that distinction. Unfortunately, it's not defined. Pornography is an elusive term that is quite subjective. In other words, one person's pornography is another person's romance novel. Also, the legal bar to meet the definition of obscenity is quite high. Unfortunately, Supervisor Stocker never really defines pornography or obscenity, nor does he give examples of how the definition of pornography has changed over the years, which is one of the things that is mentioned in the resolution. Many books have adult themes that include violence, which are not necessarily pornographic. For example, sexual violence and pornography are not identical. A depiction of rape, such as in the book Homegoing, is nothing more than a description of sexual violence, not pornography. To be specific, sexual violence is an adult theme, but it does not fit the textbook definition of pornography. For instance, books that deal with the history of slavery, let's say, where Africans were abducted, raped, tortured, beaten, hanged, and burned alive in some cases, are certainly horrible examples of violence, some of it sexual, that many would prefer not reading, but they are certainly not intended to be pornographic. What about actual accounts in military history where captured women were gang raped by soldiers or were forced to be comfort women, prostitutes, as many Korean women were subjected to during World War II? Again, these are despicable examples of sexual violence from history, but not pornography. Finally, I believe that at least in part, this resolution is disingenuous because a good majority of the challenge books just so happen to be of LGBTQ plus content. Is this a coincidence? Many don't think so, and frankly, I have my suspicions as well. To put it another way, the language of the resolution is so broad that almost any example of sexual behavior that the authors may disagree with could easily be folded into a deliberately opaque definition of pornography without actually saying it. This conveniently immunizes the resolution from viewpoint discrimination in regard to sexual orientation while still achieving the necessary effect that the authors want. In other words, the claim that this resolution is ostensibly against pornography but not against LGBTQ plus books is odd, to say the least, when in reality the majority of the sanctioned books are precisely LGBTQ plus themed books. Is this intentional? Well, if it isn't, it's certainly a convenient way to include forms of sexual expression that some might find difficult to understand or identify with, but also cleverly linked together while avoiding an accusation of discrimination. Unfortunately, the end product, intentional or not, would seem to conflict with civil rights law, where there is the protection against discrimination based upon sexual orientation, especially in a publicly funded setting. The courts have been very clear and have advocated for a very broad First Amendment protection of free expression rights in public institutions, such as public libraries. By virtue of the 14th Amendment, the right of free speech and intellectual freedom are also applied to the states and local government. Government agencies and government officials are forbidden from regulating or restricting speech based on content or viewpoint. Only private entities can restrict speech, like corporations. However, this resolution is asking public officials, the county board, to restrict speech from a public entity, the library. Ultimately, any First Amendment claims against the public entity should only be adjudicated in a court of law. So, the point is, who decides? That's the question. Well, one answer is, as I suggested, the courts, I suppose, if someone wanted to proceed that way. Supervisor Stocker and those who agree with him shouldn't be able to, though, summarily declare which books ought to be segregated in the library based upon their own particular religious, moral, philosophical, or cultural views. Unfortunately, this policy would put librarians in the unenviable position to ascertain what books are potentially problematic and which ones are not, a position I'm sure no librarian wants to be put in, nor should they. This is, and always has been, the decision and responsibility of the parents and the parents alone. In conclusion, I don't think this is a wise idea for the board to support this resolution, and so I will not be voting for it. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I yield back.
Thank you. Supervisor Gersten.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question through the chair to the supervisor from the 14th district, if that's okay.
Right.
Supervisor Stocker, at any time prior to submitting this resolution, did you reach out to the city administration through the Kenosha Public Library or any other agency of the city on this matter?
Yes, several times. I've been to several different committee meetings. I've emailed the alderman, sat down, I believe, with the mayor, and several times, well, I'm on a committee that the head librarian is part of, and we've invited her to the executive committee twice, and each time it's basically, she didn't come to the executive committee, but each time I'm pursuing this, she says I'm outside my my role, but my role, I believe, I'm one of the customers. We are the customer, and so with that in mind, it seems like she should be able to interact with us on that level.
Thank you. So I want to follow up if that's okay. So you have, prior to submitting this resolution, you reached out to the city administration, and it sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like they were non-responsive. They wouldn't come and attend a meeting. You had trouble having a dialogue to discuss this.
Yeah, the alderman, I think two or three responded, but in a positive way, but they couldn't get anything going.
And I'm talking about city administration. Aldermen are part of their legislature. But so now, after submitting this resolution, I heard in citizen comments a response from the top, the director of the Kenosha Public Library. I heard a comment from the Kenosha Public Library. So after submitting this, was that the first time that you heard a comment or that you had been seeking from the Kenosha Public Library?
Yeah, other than I was out of my lane, that's the best I got from her.
So prior to submitting this resolution, there was non-responsiveness. After submitting this resolution, you did get a response that we heard in citizen comments?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Supervisor Rose.
Move to close the debate.
Okay, moved to call the question by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Kubicki. All in favor to close the debate, vote yes.
Not ready yet.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
So, vote yes to close the question?
Yeah.
So you're voting yes to close the question, no to continue debate? There's 15 yes, 6 no, and 1 abstain.
So it passes.
So the motion passes.
Okay. Now, we're going to vote on the motion.
We're voting on the resolution. Voting on the
On the
resolution.
resolution. Did somebody ask for a roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Voting on the resolution.
Oh, let's go to click.
Second, she's got to get that set up.
Okay, this here, just to make sure, vote yes to approve it, no to vote against it.
The resolution fails, 5 yes, 16 no, and 1 abstain. Resolution 103 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding William and Diane Fleece, revocable trust owner, William Fleece agent, requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan, from farmland protection to farmland protection and general agricultural and open land in the town of Paris. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Carroll.
Move Resolution 103.
Moved by Supervisor Carroll, second by Supervisor Geschke. Supervisor Carroll.
Yes, thank you. This is a amendment to the comprehensive plan to allow the division of some property and really no major changes to the eventual use of it other than potentially some residential. It was passed unanimously by PDEC, and I ask for the board's approval tonight.
Okay. Supervisor Cummins, Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess it'd be to Supervisor Carroll. The fourth whereas says, whereas the town of Randall recommended approval of this request. Is this not in the town of Paris?
It is in the town of Paris, so.
So I think we'd want to maybe amend this to whereas the town of Paris recommended approval of the request, or did the town of Paris not recommend this or not talk about it? So I just want clarification on, because it's not in Randall, they wouldn't have voted on this one way or the
Has to
other.
be a motion, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
It appears to be a clerical error.
Yeah, motion.
So, thank you.
Okay, if nobody objects, then we can just change from Randall to Harris. Any objections? Okay.
No.
My only question is, did Paris approve it? Or,
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes,
That would be-
yes.
okay, thank you.
It was approved by the Paris Town Board before it got to committee.
Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For this particular item before us and then the one that's following, if you have knowledge, Supervisor Nordigan, or you can bring it forward at a future time, will there be any provision, as you've had in the past with our county trunk highways, that there be some provision for non-motorized traffic on the shoulder of the road paved area? Can you comment upon this, or what the status is?
I don't have that information right now. We do have a Public Works meeting on Monday, and I'll be sure to ask it at that point, but at this point, I don't have any of that information.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other supervisors? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Ordinance, one reading, ordinance 10 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding William and Diane Fleece, revocable trust owner, William Fleece agent, requests an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan, from farmland protection to farmland protection and general agricultural and open land in the town of Paris. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Carroll.
Move ordinance 10.
Moved by Supervisor Carroll, second by Supervisor O'Day. Supervisor Carroll.
This is the second step in the three-step process, so this is the, same property, same land use plan change. Again, it was approved in committee unanimously, and it was approved by the town of Paris before it got to committee. I ask for the supervisor's support on this tonight.
Any supervisors want to? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Passes.
Ordinance 11 from Planning Development and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding William and Diane Fleece, revocable trust owner, William Fleece agent, requests a rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation District to A1 Agricultural Preservation District, A2 General Agricultural District, C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District, and PUD Planned Unit Development Overlay District in Town of Paris. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Carroll.
I move ordinance 11.
Moved by Supervisor Carroll, second by Supervisor Franco. Supervisor Carroll.
So this is the rezoning of the parcel of land associated with the comprehensive land use plan change. This is a parcel of land that's going to it's existing farmed. It's going to be farmed as a garden, and the A2 zoning is going to allow construction of a house on this size of a parcel at some point in time in the future, but no major use changes foreseen in the future by the Fleiss family. So I asked, it was approved unanimously in committee and also by the town of Paris before it got to committee, and I ask for the support of the board tonight.
Any supervisor comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I think that was Supervisor Bashaw. Okay, so oppose? Passes.
Communications 87, communication from Vice Chair Decker, a resolution recognizing April 15th through the 19th of 2024 as National Work Zone Awareness Week.
Refer to Executive Committee.
88, communication from the Human Services and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution requesting the purchase of one Pendar X10 spectrometer and 2 TrueNarc analyzers with opioid settlement funds for the use by the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department.
Refer to Human Services and Finance.
89, communications from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Received and filed.
90, communication from the Public Works and Facilities Committee, a resolution for the approval of highway right-of-way plat for County Trunk Highway W project and authorizing the Highway Commissioner to acquire highway right-of-way necessary for highway improvements along County Trunk Highway W.
Refer to Public Works and Finance.
91, communication from the Public Works and Facilities Committee, a resolution authorizing the acceptance and expenditure of LRIP funding and the reappropriation of County Trunk K funds for reconditioning of County Trunk Highway L between State Trunk Highway 31 and 30th Avenue.
Refer to Public Works and Finance.
92, communications from Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to increase civil process fees.
Refer to Judiciary and Law.
Claims, 17, Jesse Ulrich, property damage.
Refer to Corporation Counsel.
18, Samantha Connor, property damage.
Refer to Corporation Counsel.
Approval of the February 6, 2024 minutes by Supervisor Rose.
Supervisor Rose.
Move the minutes of the meeting.
Moved by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Stuck. Any comments?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's finish that one first. Oppose? None? Passes. Motion to adjourn by Supervisor Rodriguez, second by Supervisor Berg. Any comments?